Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Plainville Board of Education regular business meeting for Monday, September 12th, 2022. If we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Rebecca, would you mind leading us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I'd like to also call a moment of silence and remembrance for the victims' families as well as first responders of 9/11, which was yesterday. And just wanted to give a little pause for that. Thank you. Now we can start special presentations for the PCS All-Stars.
Okay, thank you very much. And this is a new award this year, in alignment with our team mentality this year across the district, really celebrating the important elements of a team, coming together as a family toward common goals, and being an important member of that team, an all-star. So we're celebrating 3 all-stars here tonight. One student, Jalen Thigpen, is first, and then two of our staff members here from the high school who you'll hear about in a moment. But I'd like to acknowledge Jalen, so I'll just read from my notes so I don't forget any great things I say about him. So again, this was previously the Portrait Pioneer Award that celebrated the portrait of the graduate qualities that are important to us and instilling in our students. We continue to focus on those qualities that include being communicative, collaborative, mindful, innovative, and resilient, and also overcoming the challenges that we face. So this is a new way to celebrate these and additional traits that highlight excellence in the members of our community. So I'd like to recognize PHS senior Jalen Thigpen, who you all, of course, saw at the convocation. Jalen's our very first PCS All-Star. Jalen has been a committed member of this community since I've known him. He's shared his talents and skills in the classroom through his gift with instrumental music, of course on the trumpet, that's been developed with lots and lots of practice, and in athletics as well. You can see he just came from football practice just now after a very difficult, long practice. Lots of running, right, Jalen? Lots of up-downs. But he's here with us now. He's also a young man of positive character who gives back to the community in a number of ways. My favorite way is, of course, through his gift on the trumpet. Jalen plays it at the Memorial Day Parade, and he plays taps at the ceremony that follows. He also plays with the jazz band, played with the jazz band early one morning last March when we had a visitor, the Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona. Dr. Cardona came to Linden Street School, and I'd say that our band just was absolutely incredible that day, and he was standing right up front, just, pretty excited to hear the music, and just couldn't believe the level of quality from our amazing kids. So we were proud of them for that, and Jalen, of course, had a solo that day as well, which I remember. Jalen played America the Beautiful at a Veterans Breakfast last June. I think I emailed him on about June 15th and asked him if he could play on June 23rd or so, and he said, well, I don't know that song yet, and I don't have the music, but I'll take care of it, don't worry. So he took care of it. He performed with excellence and moved everyone at that ceremony for our Rotary Veterans Breakfast. He's also, as you know, moved everybody at the convocation ceremony that we had on August 29th this year when I reached out to him over the summer and said, hey, would you mind starting us off with the national anthem? And it was absolutely beautiful. So I know he has a bright future ahead of him. I don't know if we'll get to recognize him at a board meeting again. I'm sure we'll hear your name a few times over the course of the year, but I did want to take this opportunity to formally thank Jalen Thigpen, thank his family for sharing his talents and his gifts with us, and for always being supportive. And congratulations to Jalen Thigpen for our PCS All-Star Award. Come on up. Thank you. We're going to have you come over here to the Wall of Fame and get your picture.
Congratulations.
Jalen was just telling me before the meeting that he's got some choices about colleges. Free ride offer at some, was it Arkansas? University of Arkansas for music, and so he's weighing his options, so we're very proud of our students who go on and do great things. So, all right, now on to our faculty. Our first two faculty members are all-stars. I'm going to do my best to pay justice to what they're doing in the science department here at the high school. So PHS science teachers, Mr. Ken Fusco, who's our science department instructional leader, and Mr. John Gerard, who is a teacher of biology and anatomy and physiology and pathology, and also forensics this year. Did I miss any? And Mr. Fusco teaches marine biology and biology, correct? Okay, I got them right. Good. Of course, we all know Mr. Fusco. If you see his tie, his number one passion is marine biology. He has sharks on there, and there's always a fish on his tie of some sort. And then, if you know Mr. Gerard, he's got a long background and great knowledge in human biology and phlebotomy. Is that the right word? Medical technology. Lots of things like that. He's very intelligent. They both teach high-level courses. All courses, actually, but through their positions as teachers, they and other science teachers have inspired countless students to pursue college programs with a focus with science as a focus. Mr. Gerard also leads the Science National Honor Society, which recognizes students who work hard and succeed at a high level in the sciences while also meeting other requirements of that National Honor Society. So the reason I invited these two gentlemen to be here this evening is because of their recent efforts with surrounding colleges and recent graduates to build a vision for advancing the science department and to create bridges and pathways for better understanding of the sciences, of the skills our students will need to succeed at the college level. Their work also builds bridges of opportunity to help expand college credit programs and pathways. In alignment with the district's focus on college and career pathways, Mr. Fusco and Mr. Gerard took the initiative to reach out to CCSU and Tunxus Community College to obtain information about how our students have performed in science courses over the past few years and what skills our students need to be successful in those classes. Mr. Gerard also took the time to speak with recent nursing school graduate Sydney McGuff, who was my student here years ago, to reflect on her preparation for a career in nursing and to discuss possible coursework for high school students that would help them to better prepare for a medical career, and more specifically, a career in nursing. In their work with CCSU and Tunxus, Ken and Dave are exploring possible pathways that can be developed for science majors and/or careers. Based on some of their research and college instructor interviews, they put together a presentation which was shared with district administrators and instructional leaders. Their presentation outlined the specific strengths and areas of need for Plainville High School graduates enrolled at Tunxus, as well as actual performance data. I was happy to hear in talking with Mr. Gerard earlier today that our students in Plainville perform better than many of the sending schools to Tunxus, but they still identified work that continues to need to be done. And it was interesting when Mr. Gerard and Mr. Fusco outlined the things they believed needed to be done and matched it with the college, or what the college had said. They were just about identical from my understanding. So they know their kids well, and they know their strengths and needs. This type of work shows the passion these two educators have for ensuring our students have relevant coursework to allow them to choose a science pathway of interest and have the preparation necessary to be successful. Mr. Fusco and Mr. Gerard have also researched the courses the University of Connecticut has to offer in the field of allied health sciences, with the possibility of offering UConn coursework in this field as well. We look forward to the dual enrollment offerings and science pathway opportunities this work will lead to, and also as a model for other departments to follow to increase our educational opportunities here in Plainville as we continue to build our college and career pathways and relevant learning opportunities. So, Mr. Fusco, Mr. Gerard, if you would come on up, thank you so much for your work. Now this is dedication. Mr. Gerard has a bit of a physical issue going on, and he still made it here, so thank you, Mr. Gerard. I'll hand it. You want me to hand it?
Yeah, you got it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. This is yours.
Thanks.
Thank you. We'll get the pictures
Thank
there.
you.
That concludes our special presentation, so if our special guests would like to, if they want to stay for the entire meeting, that's absolutely up to you. Jalen, you're probably hungry for some dinner, so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks again. I'll see you, okay?
I didn't even know you wore contacts. We're going to start out with the approval of minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes this evening, and if there are no objections or corrections to the minutes, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve items A through C, which include minutes of the June 14th special business meeting of the board, minutes of the June 14th special meeting of the board, which was the review of expulsions, and also includes a special board meeting on June 13th. Are there any concerns or corrections?
Yeah, Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of the 2 meetings on June 14th and the meeting on June 13th, special meetings of the Plainville Board of Education.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. If you would like to, we'll move on to citizens' comments, but there's really nobody here.
Except Lynn Davis.
Yeah, say something.
Okay.
Say something.
And Joan?
Do I have to really call it or no? Okay. So we're going to go on to council liaisons report, which I have in front of me. I just have 2 things that I'll go over briefly. One is the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail update. DOT's public information meeting for Phase 2 of the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail project has been scheduled for September 22nd, and the middle school auditorium has been canceled due to administrative delays. This meeting is expected to be rescheduled in 2023. The town was notified that CRCOG has been awarded a fiscal year 22 Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity grant and the amount of $16,366,554. This grant will be used for the design and construction of 2 trails in the municipalities of Plainville and New Britain. The first trail will fill the last major gap in the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail, and the second trail will connect the FCHT, which I'm assuming is in Farmington, to the Connecticut Fast Track in New Britain. Lastly, the Reserve Officer Program, Chief Angeely is here. He was at the town council meeting that evening, implementing a Reserve Officer Program for the Plainville Police Department. The proposal allows the town to continue to employ a police officer that has retired in good standing, to keep them certified and utilizing them as needed on a part-time basis. These officers would be classified differently for purposes of payroll and enjoy no other benefits from the town. Specifically in Plainville, reserve officers will be utilized to work extra duty assignments when no other Plainville officer is available to work. Reserve officers can also be assigned to large town events where a significant need for law enforcement manpower is required. All the town council notes can be found on the plainvillect.com website. So if there's anyone that is watching, they can go in to look onto the website to find all the notes that are available. Next, we can move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. The only report tonight comes from me, so I'll do my best to share some highlights from the opening of school and some other important information, but I have no other special presentations other than me, so I'll do my best to go through several things kind of quickly that are that I think are important, and hopefully you'll find to provide some information about things happening in the district. I just wanted to say, and, you know, I know I sent a message to the board and to the staff on Friday about just the positive energy that's in our buildings from opening the schools, and it's just been a very good feeling to come back to a more normal start to the school year after a couple starts that have been anything but normal and so many obstacles. We still have some obstacles and barriers, and you know, that we face, and we still have cases of COVID popping up here and there, but you know, nothing to the extent we were dealing with before, and it's been a very very positive start. The energy level from the staff and the entire district staff and from the kids has been terrific. The emphasis on strong attendance that's been really emphasized across the district, as long as, you know, of course, our students are well and our staff are well. We want everybody in school every day really learning and taking advantage of the great opportunities that we have here. As you saw, you heard from a few all-stars tonight about just a small snapshot of the opportunities. But so that's been a message that our principals have conveyed, that I've been conveying in my meetings, well, you know, with several classes, and just really trying to set that frame of mind that Plainville Community Schools already is, in my opinion, a model in many ways, but we have work to do, and I want our district to be the model that people look to in Connecticut to say, I want our schools to be like Plainville. I think I have heard that from some in a number of areas already, but that is what we're striving for, and I've asked the kids to help me and to help us toward that collective visionary goal. And you know, I was really happy to see the students so engaged. I talked to all the 8th graders through 12th grade in different class meetings, and they were, you know, throughout the entire, I only spoke, believe it or not, for less than 5 minutes with each class, and they gave me an ovation at the end, which was something unusual, but it was nice that they were tuned in. They didn't have their phones out. Honestly, you know, I look at that and I notice that, even if I may not, you know, say something at the time, but, you know, and it was like that with the high school administration as well, and the middle school. It was nice to see the kids were really focused, and I've just felt a good positive energy. You know, we're always going to have our bumps and our hiccups in our you know, what happens in the schools. It's just part of a comprehensive school system in the 21st century. But you know, I'm just really excited about the way things started. So, you know, and as I'll get back to my notes here. I went off script, but you know, bringing back over 570 staff members and 2,300 students, you know, you're going to have some challenges. But you know, I want to thank DATCO, you know, for the work they did, and Sherry Boldick and everybody, you know, Sam, everyone who's involved with the busing, you know, Tim Rebstad, our DATCO manager. I hear woes and headaches around the state from superintendents about the terrible bus situations they're dealing with. We have some little things to work out with, you know, bus stops, and you know, it's all typical, but we have drivers, we have routes that are running, you know, generally on time. After the first day, we were right back to where we were at the end of last year, after the corrections were made. So really positive in that way, and good for our families. You know, right on down to every individual in the school, the custodians, as you can see, our maintainers, you know, despite, you know, needing to fill some positions, you know, they've done a great job. Our facilities director, Mike Smith, is doing an outstanding job. You know, just everyone stepping up, everyone from our custodians, maintainers, office professionals, paraprofessionals, tutors, teachers, specialists, administrators, across the board. Just it's been a total team effort, so that's what we're looking for. So I'm going to hop down to the next part of my notes. So over the summer, many exciting changes were made. You know, so I know from our strategic planning that you'll hear about in a second, some things were surfaced as topics of interest for possible improvement, and one of those areas was grading, and specifically middle school. So our middle school team did a great job over the summer of really shifting and working with us and keeping us informed in those changes. But a new grading system that it encompasses a standards-based grading that aligns grading to the standards that are important at each grade level and gives feedback on those standards, but it's also giving a traditional grade for the students and the parents to have as a means of communication on how the students are doing. When you synthesize all the effort, homework, and everything they're doing to better prepare them for the high school experience as well. So it provides the same information to the teachers to give the students feedback toward the standards, but it's also giving parents and families more information for them to work with on the student and say, what's going on here? You know, we need you to step it up a bit. So we heard the parents, and I met with some parents over the summer. And, you know, I feel like our team did a great job of responding quickly. So that's been rolled out. Very positive feedback so far. The middle school also changed their schedule so that enrichment's no longer at the end of the day. It became very difficult to manage, and there's a lot of excitement as you build toward the end of the day as it is, and that to have a less structured period of time with band and chorus happening at the time, but also all the other students trying to keep them doing what they need to be doing and out of the hallways and things of that nature. So enrichment's in the morning now. So a lot of really meaningful and intentional shifts, and so far extremely positive feedback from staff, students, and families. But, you know, we'll continue to monitor. We're still only, I guess we're, 7 days into the school year now. So we'll continue to monitor and adjust. But very happy, and I appreciate the middle school's work to make those shifts. So just talking about this year and the aspirational goals that have been set, you know, I'm confident in saying that we currently have, in my opinion, and it's a bit biased, but the best educational team of professionals that I've ever worked with. We really have talented staff. Although our new recruit teachers who we brought in have quite a few years of experience, they're really talented. So we brought in some great new talent. You know, when we had the new teacher orientation, you know, couldn't be more impressed with the teachers and staff that we brought in from across different parts of the state who wanted to be in Plainville. Over the coming weeks, I know we had the Board of Education retreat in the summer, and we talked about goals and our school improvement plans, and then my goals, you know, all aligned, and then working with the Board of Education to keep you consistently informed about our efforts and our work toward those goals. Our principals will be finalizing school improvement plan goals, working with their teachers over the first month to really you know, submit and finalize meaningful and targeted goals that will help each teacher to be the best teacher they can be toward the common school goals and our district goals. So we're looking for that coherence and that alignment that will really grow and improve our performance as a school district with academic achievement and a number of other areas. So I'm really excited about that. I believe that we're going to see some really outstanding growth this year. We have everything in place, and we have a consistent process for looking at important data that will help to guide us, and the board will be apprised on that data on a regular basis as well. So I'll be going out to every school for 2 formal visits per month this year. It was 1 last year. They might be a little shorter for one of the visits and a little less formal, but I'm also bringing Assistant Superintendent Lewandowski and Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, Tawana Graham-Douglas, on one of those visits. And we're going to have very pointed conversations about that school's data and how we're doing and what supports we can provide to make them the best that they can possibly be in support of their goals. In October, Mr. Lewandowski and my team will present a current look to the Board of Education at our October board meeting of our PCS data and where we stand at this time after you know, over 2 years of operating through a pandemic. So you'll see some of the standardized results and other measures and where we are at the current point in time and where we're planning to go. So enough about that for now. I'd like to give you some facilities updates because our buildings are an important place where our students need to and staff need to come every day and have a safe and well-functioning and clean facility. So they're in really good shape overall with some needs at each school that we've been addressing throughout the summer and continue to address. The most obvious and significant issues we're facing are related to many middle school Plainville systems that have been consistently failing and needing attention or replacement. These issues recently included a water heater that failed and had to be replaced at a cost of $16,000. Fire sprinkler pump is failing, and the company reps that came out, it sounds funny, but it's not funny. They said it's an antique and it could be in a museum, and they're going to try to fix it, but that's for our fire sprinkler pump. That's an important system at the middle school. And so that's unsettling. Anyone who visited the middle school recently, as much as our facilities staff try to keep the tiles replaced and patch, work with roof companies to patch leaks and whatnot. We get the brown tiles. So those efforts are ongoing, and it's kind of like the whack-a-mole. Unfortunately, you fix one problem, another one pops up. So Those issues they weigh heavily on me. That's, it's unfortunate that the Renovate Lake New application was not passed back in June with the 4-3 majority of the town council voting it down due to the cost of the project. So we're taking steps to see where we go from here, to try to make the best effort that we can to prepare and to work with the new town manager and the town council to hopefully move that project forward for the next deadline date of June 30th. We were given a 1 to 3 year range of time that some of the council members were looking at. I'm urging them, along with the Capital Project Building Committee, who will be meeting, to really look carefully at that and the costs of delaying. Costs won't go down. We can look at some value engineering to try to bring that price down in advance of the project, and that always happens after the project, or usually happens after the project starts as well, if you need to bring the cost down. But it's just, there are a number of things that are concerning. Some of the smells from the old cabinetry. If you've been in some of the rooms there, you notice that the lack of the secure vestibule requiring, which required me to hire a school security officer that you'll hear about to guard the front doors to help secure the building. So again, I think it's important to keep it in mind. It's been an important project. We spent an entire year preparing for the application last year with a lot of individuals in our capital project committee, and then CSG, who was hired by the town to help us get to referendum. But so I need to keep that in the forefront, and we'll continue to do so and keep you updated. So enough about the middle school for now. Linden Street Elementary School has the playscapes that are just about done. You might have seen the little spotlight on the news. It was nice that they came out and asked for some opening of school updates, and that's where we ended up doing the interview from. They've been putting in the mulch this week, so I believe it's going to be all completed by the end of the week. There's a lot of mulch that has to go in by code. So it's really exciting, and they're beautiful. So it's exciting for the kids of Linden to have a playscape that's comparable to what they have at Wheeler and Toffelon. So I know they're very excited. I'll talk to the Board of Education about a possible, maybe a grand opening of the playground. I don't know if any board members want to volunteer to go down the slide first, or Mr. White perhaps, or Ms. Consalvo, I don't know, anyone, any volunteers? So we'll look to do something like that in the next month or so. We're working on some upgrades, solutions for the pre-K and early childhood playground equipment at Toffelon as well. I know they have a nice playground for the main playground, but the younger students. So Mr. Smith's meeting with Principal Adorato later this week. We do have the ESSER funds that we'll be giving you quarterly reports on as requested. And working with our strategic planning committee, you'll hear about shortly as well, to make sure we're spending that money wisely and in the best interests of what's good for the town and what's good for our kids, of course. We also have the high school Learning Commons project that the board approved, along with the Linda project, that will be completed. There's some back-ordered items. They want to do it all at once. They're going to kind of come in and do a full makeover over probably the course of a weekend, and then when everybody comes back on Monday, it's going to be all done, instead of kind of doing it in piecemeal. So right now things are coming in, but it should be done by, I believe, the middle of October, mid to late October. So we're very excited about that at the high school, a comfortable learning space where kids will be really excited to be and to connect and to do work, and like they're already doing to a degree, but it's going to have much more opportunities for that. The Toffelon chillers, just going kind of through the buildings, needed to be replaced. They've been ordered through the town's ARPA funds, which we appreciate. Unfortunately, the chiller's on back order for 36 weeks, so it's a long time, but we expect that they'll be in the spring in time for the hot weather that will come. So fortunately, hopefully, knock on wood, sorry, most of the warm weather is behind us, so we can get by until the spring, and that'll be replaced. If you've been to the schools and seen the gym floors have all been refinished over the summer. They're beautiful. They did a wonderful job with that. At the high school, the diving blocks are replaced, and the dive stands are in the process of being replaced. They moved it to the left dive stand so that our season could begin. They do need to be replaced, so the board was made aware of that. And at the high school, we're also in the process of getting the boilers replaced. The new town manager, Michael Paulus, I always say his name wrong, Paulus, came out and met with our team here, Mike Smith and Steve Bussell, and and I believe Mike Dixon, and looked at that project. That's another project they're going to fund through ARPA. They were supposed to vote on it tonight at the town council meeting, but I was told it was moved to October. So we're hoping that goes through. They do need new boilers here at the high school. So once those are replaced, once they're replaced, the large brick smokestack that you see sticking up from the middle of the school will no longer be needed. And that was part of the capital project work to take that or most of it down, because it's in disrepair. It needs to either be fixed or taken down. And it makes sense to take it down as long as you have the new boilers that don't need that tall smokestack. Also, the repointing of the 1950s section of the building that was approved in capital project over a 3-year period. I believe it's over 3 years, right, Sam? For that repairing, we budgeted over 3 years in capital. So that's going to start. They're getting bids on that to make the outside of the building, secure and keep the leaks from coming in and things like that. I think for the high school, that is all I have to share. School grounds issues. I've been meeting with the former town, Robert Lee and Michael and Dave Emery and Mike Ferreira and the town staff, along with Sam and Mike Smith and Steve Bussell, really talking about the exterior of our facilities and trying to come up with a system that will better ensure that those facilities are maintained and they look as nice on the outside of our buildings as they do on the inside. They get really, really bad shape over the summer. They get in really bad shape, and even though the schools aren't as actively used in the summer, some of them are, and people come to visit the schools, and we just want to make sure that they are maintained well. We go through an outside landscaper to do the touch-up before everyone comes back to school, so they look pretty nice, when we come back. But we're working on a process to collaborate with the town to ensure that we have a better system of keeping our grounds to the level of quality that we want them to be. And we're hopeful on that. It's also related to the snow and ice that comes. Before you know it, we'll be preparing for snow and ice and those decisions about whether we can open on time or not, or open at all. And those mornings, as you know, started about 4:15 in the morning, and make lots of calls to the PD and the buildings and grounds to see how the shape of our actual parking lots and sidewalks, and then our roadways does our actually large parking lot areas. But it's a team effort, so we're really making sure that we have everything in place for that, so that we're ready to go. We also have issues with, a lot of times the trash bins will become overfilled and blow around. You see the trash in the gardens and out by the athletic fields and in neighbors' yards who have complained. So working on a system to make sure our trash is being emptied more regularly, adding more. The big oil drum barrels out by the fields are going to be the bright Plainville blue, though, so we're getting more of those. So we have more. These seem like little things, but we have had some complaints about that, so we're trying to address that together. So I think that's it for facilities updates. There's a lot more, of course, but the next item on my agenda was related to dress code policy and forming a committee. We've spoken about this a few times on different topics, whether it was pajamas or the request for, some kids requesting that they can wear hats, and the tension has been caused over, that, and, repeated requests to take off a hat or things of that nature. So in speaking with, members of the board and with our administrative team and talking with our students at the student meetings and mentioning this topic, we're going to pull together, with the help of Mr. Lewandowski, who oversees policy and, and regulation updates, a committee that involves some students, it involves some administrators, it involves board members from the policy subcommittee, and any board members who want to attend that meeting, of course, are always welcome to attend. To really look at the topic of dress code. Our dress code was last updated in 2007. So it's, it's 15 years old, going on 16 years old. Some things change over time, some things don't. So that'll be something that hopefully will lead to some positive outcomes and feeling of involvement, and at least understanding by the students as to why things are in place, or looking at potential for any changes. It's been a hot topic, so I think it'll be good, and the students seem engaged. I already have a couple that have emailed me asking if they can be on the committee. So. Strategic planning, my fourth of 5 items. Our next strategic planning meeting is going to be held on September 28th. As you know, we had brought in a consultant, Marta Coons, and She did a great job working with our administrative team, you know, Lynn Davis and Lily Cornell and Mr. Lemondusky, Sam Adlerstein, Tawana Graham-Douglas, and myself, to lead about 45 or 50 members of the community through a process where we really looked at a number of projects and ideas for the improvement of our community that were sent in through surveys and shared in multiple means, shared by principals, shared by families, shared by students, and really looking at what was there within the areas that we kind of sorted them into, and then adding additional ideas that night when we met in the spring. We talked about getting together, you know, considering getting together over the summer. You know, when we did some initial investigation into that, it didn't seem like we'd be able to align the stars to get enough people between summer vacations and time that people need away. So we decided to pick it up in the spring, in this fall, I'm sorry, but also moving forward on a number of those project ideas that were, you know, had a lot of capacity and that we believe were needed by the district. So, you know, you've heard about some of those already, but we're going to continue to work on development of the strategic plan that really focuses on the 5 areas that everything aligned with. That includes equity, social and emotional learning, and those supports related to that, mastery and student achievement, district systems and operations and improvements there, and community connections, really building those community bonds and connections, similar to what you heard from our All-Stars, building those connections to colleges, but also building connections to our families through different means and getting them involved, having more of a voice. So that work will continue on September 28th, and we have, I think, 2 additional meetings scheduled. I don't have the dates committed to memory, but, you know, we'll certainly involve members of the community in that process, and we're looking forward to seeing the positive change that will result, changes. And of course, our board members are involved in that as well. And then my final piece of my report is related to school security updates, and of course, today was an unfortunate reminder how important and how we never know what's going to happen. I was here for a meeting with a parent with the high school principal and received a notification from the police department that there was, I'm sure you'll see on the news, I saw Channel 3 down the street when I was driving by, but there was, you know, there was an incident, I will just say, because I don't have all the details, but I'm sure you'll hear more on the news, you know, involving a weapon in the neighborhood, involving a gun that was, you know, down the street, not directly near the schools, but close enough that the police told us to go into a shelter-in-place code yellow. So we locked all the doors, didn't let anybody in or out until, you know, we were given the okay. We were in a code yellow. We went about our normal business operations. I stayed here at the high school, and I sent our new director of school safety and security to Linden Street School. Those were the 2 schools that we were told to go into a code yellow. So we were able to, you know, navigate the situation, working with our SROs and you know, talking with Chief Angeli. So I did send updates to the families and community about, you know, whatever I could share with that. The kids did a great job. We went around, you know, went about business as usual, had to avoid coming or going from the schools. And if we did, we had an escort, either from a police officer, an administrator, after making sure everything was clear, to just have someone picked up if they were sick, things like that. Other safety things that I wanted to make you aware of is that, you know, in addition to hiring our Director of School Security and Safety, Rich Marquis, who's a 27-year retired. He was a sergeant when he left the Plainville Police Department in late August. He's doing an outstanding job already. We've met a number of times looking at our complete district safety, security operations, our all hazards plans, our reunification plans, our technology and our systems, working with, you know, we have Kevin Ross, of course, in the technology department on those important pieces of it, who have been working over the summer on a number of things. Our incredible camera upgrades that, you know, that Kevin Ross and his team spearheaded, that were much needed at Linden, indoor and outdoor at Linden, really high-tech, incredible visibility, and also at Toffelon, the same thing. And they were wiring the middle school. When I was there the other day, they had a hallway closed off, you know, in between passing, you know, and our guys were wiring all the hallways, and the cameras will be, we can't wait on that, so the cameras are going to go up at the middle school as well to give us the visibility we need for both, you know, preventative measures, just like all of our vape sensors and detectors in all the bathrooms now. It's another preventative measure. You know, it's a deterrent for hopefully help people to make the right decisions. So in addition to that, last week, Director Marquis, Principal Amy Roberts, and myself interviewed for the school security officer at the middle school. Primarily be posted at the front entrance. If you go there now, you'll see a desk with a computer and the Raptor visitor system that clears visitors using the license, a telephone and other things that they need for that position. They're right by the front doors. The gentleman who I ended up hiring was a 3-year SRO in Hartford at Prince Tech. He was a 23-year member of the state police force. He was a member of actually he led the governor's security detail as a sergeant, which is an honor. I have some close friends in the state police, upper up in the state police, and they said he was just an incredible, above and beyond kind of guy, and really overqualified for the position, but looking for this, really excited about it, looking for this, really enjoyed the SRO time. So we welcome Miles Ginley, who's a Plainville resident, and he lives 5 minutes from the middle school. So he's very excited to start on September 21st, I believe it is, 21st or 22nd. So he will add a layer of security to the middle school, in the absence of a secure vestibule that we definitely need. I did want to mention that, and as you know, I've posted the position so that they're retired officers. So both Director Marquis and Security Officer Ginley are retired officers and are going for the training that's required for a school security officer to carry a service weapon for the position. All the research shows that if there is an incident of an armed intruder, the best way to, I'm trying to think of the word in my mind, but the best way to stop an armed intruder is to have armed security. So we have our SROs at the middle and high school. Director Marquis is a retired officer in good standing, which is a requirement from the state of Connecticut. So he'll be an armed officer, as well as Officer Ginley, who's, as I said, a retired officer in very good standing. So it's just an added layer of security and protection for our schools that we hope we never have to use. So that concludes my lengthy report about the opening of school, about facilities updates, inside and out, about dress code policy considerations that we're planning for, strategic planning updates that are upcoming, and the work we're hoping for that, and our district security updates. So hopefully that provides a lot of information for both the board and for anyone who's watching the meeting. And that concludes my report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Can we ask questions?
You can.
I just had a question about the Teflon chiller.
Yes.
Is this where they keep the milk and like what?
No,
is
this runs the air
chiller?
conditioning.
Oh, the air
Yeah.
conditioning, okay.
I wish
I
it
was like, well, I thought
wish
you
it
said
was
it was
a milk
something
chiller.
in the kitchen. For some reason, I thought it was something that we needed in the kitchen.
No, not this one. This
Oh.
is it runs the HVAC system for the air conditioning.
Oh.
It would seem like it would be something to keep milk cold, chiller, but I can understand the confusion.
Okay.
We actually rented like a temporary chiller in the past when it failed, and they were able to temporarily fix it, but then it failed again.
Maybe that's what I'm gonna get confused
So,
with.
yeah, the chiller is, it's a pretty expensive piece of equipment. I believe it's $300,000 or thereabouts. So it's a significant cost. Same thing with the boilers, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we do appreciate the town using ARPA funds from the ARPA grant to pay for those items.
Anyone else have a question?
I do,
Yes.
for Steve. Steve, what is the total dollars of ESSER money that we have received to date?
Well, we haven't received it all. The amount that has been committed to Plainville through the grants that we wrote, a lot of the work done by Sam in cooperation with our team is, I don't know if you have the total, Sam. What's remaining is about $3.6 million.
Yeah, so,
It was 5.4, 3.
I'm sorry. Including, Smart Store, Capital, Smart Store Operating, all this, the money was 6.7.
Oh, with the others, yep.
So that was the total that we have received, and we've utilized 3.
3.6 left out of 6.7.
Okay. Now, will that be all the money that we get from ESSER? So what we have now is all that will go
Yes,
into?
and it has to be
Okay.
spent in 2 years, just about 2 years from today, pretty close. I think it's October 1st of 2020, September 30th by 2024.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else have any questions? Cassandra?
Yes, Steve, on the facilities, the grounds, I was wondering if there's any way, perhaps the PHS, the scholars that have to do the volunteer hours, that perhaps something can be done for a program to help with the cleaning up, and you could get the students that need volunteer hours to help maybe with the grounds a little bit, with the cleaning and they could get volunteer hours, and the
Yeah,
grounds
we've-
could get cleaned at the same time a little bit, kind of a win-win.
We have
Perhaps.
done things like that for different needs. I remember when I was principal, we had someone weeding all the gardens to get the remaining hours, I think the day before graduation, so that they could walk in graduation. And Mom actually came out to help her, and it was quite a sight, but it was cute in that way. She made it, so she graduated. But it's not a bad idea. We talked about, in our meeting with the town folks, we talked about, obviously, we want a system where the personnel in place are able to get everything done, but as a school beautification group, even like parents and students, but that would be a way to get some service hours, and a lot of times kids are looking for that, and maybe they enjoy pulling weeds or gardening, or, they can't do some of the things like the turf maintenance, things like that, but they could do, and they can't do, salting of sidewalks and all of that, but they could maybe do, things like mulching or
Yeah, sometimes kids are shy, too.
picking up the garbage and stuff.
A child that's shy,
Yeah,
that doesn't want to be volunteering around a lot of people,
sure.
might find it more enjoyable to be doing something a little bit more quiet on the side.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I just had one more question. I
Okay.
don't know if anybody else has any. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, then I'll go. The middle school, you said they were doing like the wirings of the cameras and everything. And then you were saying that the fire sprinkler is really old and that we need to,
The sprinkler pump,
Pump.
it's the pump that pumps the water for the sprinkler system.
so I know that our request to improve was denied by the town, but are these the things that we're gonna start doing now to try to, are we gonna start making,
We have to do
add-ons?
some repairs in real time in order so that we don't have systems that aren't functional. So for like fire code and things like that, we have to get them done, or for the water heater, of course, we can't open without hot water. So things like that are continuing to fail. And they would have failed before that would have been done through the renovation. So it's just an example of some of the things that, the building's 30 years old now, so it's over 30 years old now, so things are starting to go. So yes, those things will continue to have to be done.
Is that sprinkler pump operable now? Is it able to be used, or are we without sprinkler systems in the middle school? If we're without sprinkler systems, that would really be a concern.
Mr. Elderstein, you've talked to Mr. Smith more probably about this, but my understanding is it works, but it's struggling.
It works, it was getting hot, and so they weren't happy with how it was working. They think they can repair it for low cost and keep it working.
Okay. Yeah, because not to have that at all,
Yeah,
that would put us at significant risk.
right, we'd have to have it working to be in.
and also,
Code.
does that have anything to do with the repairs that we need to make in the roof? Because usually the sprinkler system is fed through, like, the roof area, and, do you know what I mean? Because didn't they say something about redoing half of the roof?
No, the sprinkler pump is in the basement that feeds the sprinkler system, my understanding anyway. The pipes are underneath the roof, above the ceilings, but underneath the roof. Yeah, so kind of in the space between the roof and the ceiling.
So it's not the actual sprinklers, then it's just the system itself?
Yeah, the
The pump,
that,
okay.
right, moves that water through.
Gotcha.
But-
Okay.
Yes,
Well, that pump, the sprinklers would not work.
correct.
Well, that's what they said. They said they were kind of getting hot right now,
Yeah.
so,
Yep.
okay. Any other questions?
No, but I have some comments that I'd just like to go. I'd been going through our book of the roles and responsibilities of the Board of Education membership, and I came across a few things that I'd just like to share. I'm sure that all of us know, but some of us don't know as well, so I would just like to share them if you don't mind. And some of them are some of the responsibilities that we have as Board of Education, and some of them, the ones that I picked out, I thought would be appropriate for all of us.
Can we, wait until we get through this into the, part where we each have an option to talk?
Board open forum.
Yeah, board open forum.
Well, I guess I'll have to wait. Okay,
Just-
okay. I just thought I can get through this. It's not a lot that I have to share, but that's okay. I'll wait
Oh.
until then. That's fine.
All right, let's move on to the board subcommittee reports. Isabella's not here, so. And Foster, anything?
There is no Facilities and Finance Subcommittee report. The committee has not met.
And the same goes for Crystal for the
Well,
policy?
we have no report, but we do have some meetings that we've kind of proposed. So we have meetings coming up September 26th, December 19th, February 27th, and May 1st. Those are all
Oh,
Mondays.
wonderful. So you said
Yeah.
December
Sep- September 26th, December 19th, February 27th, and May 1st. Those are all Mondays.
Okay, thank you. Rebecca, anything from the subcommittee, curriculum subcommittee?
We have not met yet, but we are discussing dates.
Okay. And there's no report for the outreach subcommittee. We'll start with the PAC liaisons. Foster?
Yes, the PAC last met on May 8th. Their next meeting is tentatively set for the 14th, which is this Wednesday. But I'm not sure that if that's even going to be held. I have not received an official notice that was in their minutes of their May 8th meeting. They set that date. And I do not know whether it's going to be a virtual or an in-person, but I'll be checking with Carl tomorrow just to make sure that there is going to be a meeting or not.
Great. And Teflon, Rebecca, anything?
Yes. Sorry. So Teflon PTO met on August 17th, and they welcomed all their new officers. Rebecca Preston will remain as president. Vice presidents will be Melissa Steele and Jenny Witowski as well. Ann Tassinelli will be co-treasurer. Secretary will be Rachel Johnson and Barbara Marzi. So those congratulations to all of our new officers. Treasurer's report. They did pay their $1,000 for scholarships, and they were able to also contribute $187 in yearbooks for fifth graders who would have been unable to afford the yearbook. Some upcoming events. They did an amazing job the first day of school decorating, as they always do, and they have some friendship grams coming. They're ordering some field trip shirts. We're getting ready for our annual Apex Fun Run in October, our fall festival, which every year they do such an amazing job with crafts and games and all sorts of good stuff. We have our Scholastic Book Fair planned, and Amy Plord and Robin Crook will be taking the lead on yearbook this year, and Kelly Maynard on the 4 o'clock flower sale. And that's the end of the report.
Great, thank you. And Cassandra, Linden Street School?
Yes, so Linden Street School, PTO will be meeting this Wednesday on September 14th at 6 PM in the Linden School Library.
Thank you. Crystal, Middle School?
Yep. The MSP PTC is looking forward to their first meeting of the year tomorrow, Tuesday, September 13th at 7 PM in person in the library at MSP.
Thank you. And Rachel, anything for Wheeler?
Yes, Principal Batchelder. Am I saying that correctly? I always want to say Batchelder. Very good. Principal Batchelder is excited to report that Wheeler's off to a terrific start. He said students returned happy, as well as teachers are developing their classroom charters with their students. Classroom charters reflect the collective perception of students in terms of how they want to feel when they come to Wheeler School each day and how they pledge to help one another feel that way. So that's a nice thing to start the elementary school year off with. I am awaiting to hear from the PTO president, Rebecca Belanger, about upcoming events, and I'll have a more comprehensive report next month. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much. And Becky, anything from the CREC?
The correct council's first meeting will be later this month.
Later this month, okay. I don't have a chairperson's report today, and there's no unfinished business. We can start on the new business, which is the board open forum. Deb, did you want to?
Yep.
Sure, okay.
The reason I brought the book for the roles and responsibilities is because I had a question that was asked of me as to what our responsibilities are for the Board of Education besides going to meetings. And I started to think about this, and I'm like, okay, well, we have a lot of responsibilities, but I'm not sure of what they all are besides going to our meetings and making sure our children get a good education. And then one night while I was sleeping, I just remembered that we had this book that we had gotten. So I went through this, and I just want to bring some of them that I had, talked to them about. And it's, some of these are, the board members should recognize that their responsibility is not to run the schools, but to see that the schools are run well. A couple others where the board is responsible for developing the school budget, including the cost of operating the public schools, and an annual report which shows costs, income, and net costs to the town. Are you having a problem with what I'm reading, Rebecca? Oh, because you're just like, okay. But it was just some of the things that, it's been such a long time since I went through this book. So I guess we don't really realize that we have more responsibilities than we actually have, besides coming to the meetings and making sure that Steve does a good job at what he does. And that the rest of us are, I'm only teasing, guys, take it easy. But no, we do have to make sure that everything is going well for, the school system, for the children and their learning, and making sure that the parents are aware of all this, because not all parents are aware of what really goes on in the school system, what we do, and, how Steve acts and what he needs to get done by, going to see different people about, do I do it this way? Is this the way this is going to continue on? Where am I going to get my money so that we have enough for the school system to continue on the way it's supposed to be? So I just wanted to know, for all of you who have this book, just to remember, go back and look at it, because it's amazing with everything that you just see and think, wow, haven't thought about that for a long time, but there's a lot of responsibility, and we just want to make sure that everything goes well in our school systems as usual. So that was just what I wanted to share with everybody, because I thought we should reread our book and make sure that we're doing all the things that we should be doing as people that are Board of Education members. And
Thank you. Is that, how long have you had that book?
probably forever.
Oh, wow. You got it from the CADE meetings?
We got this, yeah, we got a lot of these.
Nice.
Yep.
And the Board of Education role is not an easy one. It's, as I mentioned at convocation, it's harder now probably than ever, so it's an important role. There's a lot of responsibilities, so, reviewing all those is not a bad idea.
Yeah, but it's not good during the middle of the night while you're sleeping, if that comes to your mind.
I was gonna say, how'd you think about that while you were sleeping? You had a dream about your book.
Well, because if I'm thinking about it during the day, And then I go to bed, it just like pops into my head, what did I do with that book? Oh, wait a minute. My husband thinks I'm a little crazy, but.
An additional resource to that is also the CABE. We all get a CABE monthly. You can get it electronically. You can also send it to you paper-wise. But in that, there are always good articles. Patrice writes a lot of good information in there. But also, there is always a section from the Nutmeg Board of Education. And this is an insight of precisely what not to do, which is sometimes a very good learning technique. But, so, yeah, I think you raised a good point. But I think we have, several. The CABE is one of the really great resources we have. Another is sitting back there, which is Joan. She also is a fountain of information.
Absolutely.
But the other thing I would just like to say, to add, I don't know if you noticed when Jalen was up, Jalen is mostly known as a musician and an excellent student. But Jaden is also on the football team, number 76. And it shows that this gentleman is and his parents are just outstanding folks as well. And I've been aware of Jalen since he was in London and actually playing, the trumpet at events in the elementary level. This is the type, and I heard a story, I have not verified it, but there was an altercation, I think last year in the hallway. And before anybody could get there, it was not that serious, but two students were in some type of a physical altercation. Jaden just kind of stepped in between them and said, "We don't do this at PHS." This is the type of student that I think we like to recognize, and I think, thank you, Superintendent, for doing that tonight, because this is the type of example that the youth really need to be broadcast out. There is a lot of hope.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to say?
If I may, just on a brighter note too, with involvement of the parents, whatever steps we can take as board members to encourage involvement with the PTOs. I know that we are each assigned, as we are to different schools, but it's really important to, if you can show up to different events as well, to do such. And just get the word out as how important the PTOs are at each of your schools. I know some of us who've been in the PTOs and have done more through the years know this already, but there's others that, might be listening, or other parents, or maybe you have a way of reaching out to the public, or if you're out and about. But the PTOs are just, I didn't realize how important and how much they did, and how you can talk to the principal, talk to other parents, and just exchange ideas as well. So, getting off to a fresh start, it'd be great to see if all our schools could have wonderful PTOs behind them, not just like a couple, not them, just, it'd be great. So, anyways, that's my 2 cents. And it's nice to see everybody here today, including our fearless leader.
Not me. Trying to say I'm a man.
Thank you.
So just playing off on what Cassandra just said, many years ago, that there occasionally used to be a meeting of all the boards of education. So the groups would get together and talk about different things that each one of them was doing, and occasionally they would do something jointly together, which is, that's just awesome, because it just helps. Unfortunately, you all know there's tiny little groups of people that are running PTOs, and that not a lot of people are involved. And the work they do is phenomenal. It's kind of amazing. That was my first impression too, when I first got involved in the schools and I saw what the PTO did. I was like, I never realized this little group of people is just doing this. And, how much meaning they give to the schools, so they really are an awesome group of people to recognize and to try and get together. So we could even think about doing something like that. This is just coming out of my head as I'm saying it now. Good idea for the day, I must be done. No.
We have done the combined.
I only get one a day.
2 years ago, we did the combined, or the first year before COVID, we had a combined parent advisory council and brought everyone together. It was a nice way to share ideas.
Yeah.
And I just received the invitation from Sue Bradley for the volunteer recognition banquet, and I think it's April, so save the date. The PTO, parent advisory presidents and officers get recognized at that event, so that's nice. We look forward to that.
So I actually had a different thought in my mind. Two things. One is, Steve, when you were talking about the grounds, we've talked about several times about having somebody come in, and I don't know if this would really be worthwhile or how it really would function, who has an expertise in making things as low maintenance as possible, resilient, not having to have a lot of work done and make it so that, there aren't as many weeds, that it doesn't need as much, kind of care in some of the areas at the fronts of the schools. And I know we talked about it, and people are always frustrated because when a new building project comes out, that they kind of do the opposite, and we end up with a lot more maintenance, and everybody goes, how are we supposed to maintain that, So I don't know if that's, worthwhile to look into and see if there's, there's organizations that can do that kind of thing and see what makes sense. That might make it easier for everybody to maintain it, And then really what I was wanting to talk about was the middle school and the fact that, not moving the middle school forward was in my mind, was a big loss for the community. And so as a Board of Education, I feel like it's our job to keep talking about it and to keep making sure people understand that that just didn't go away, we're going to have, it just snowballs our issues. And so I think, we need to keep talking about it to get public support, because the more public support we get, the more likely we will see a better outcome this coming year. So as board members, we can think about what we want to do, either collectively or individually, to try and make sure that we keep that project on the forefront. Thank you.
I agree.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. I just want to first start off by congratulating Jalen. The times that I've heard him perform has stopped me in my tracks, and I've just been led to the sound of the trumpet.
Yeah.
So very powerful, incredible young man, and he just has it, whatever that it is that can't be defined as far as work ethic and nature, and I can certainly understand why he was recognized and celebrated today, as well as the two teachers, the all-star teachers. I was really excited to hear about that project. I know we've touched a little bit on, looking beyond high school graduation for the Plainville student and gathering that data on the back end. So thank you to them for taking that on themselves. So that way we can really get underneath, especially with COVID. We really need to, we can have all the data in the world, but we really need to get underneath it now, because we have so many different driving forces that might be attributing to certain academic performances in different areas right now. So bravo to them for taking that on. Another thing I just wanted to comment on, since our board retreat, I was really excited to hear words such as teamwork, excellence, positivity, unity. That excites me as an alumni of Plainville Community Schools, because that would be my expectation of everyone sitting here. And I think that as a new board member, I just want to comment, you guys have all said so many great things. Deb, thank you for bringing, kind of revisiting our roles and responsibilities back to the forefront at the start of the new school year is kind of the perfect opportunity. We all know what our roles and responsibilities are, but maybe the people watching the meetings don't. I get asked often, what do you guys do? And my answer to that is, I thought I knew what we did. I understood it as a student, I understood it as a parent, I understood it as someone who was interested in running for the Board of Education. And now, 10, 11 months into it, I understand it as a Board of Education member. Very different perspectives and shifts during the whole thing. So kind of going back to revisiting our roles and responsibilities, I think one of the things that seems to be unclear and I think would help us in our vision of moving forward as a team is for folks to understand. I forgot exactly what the book said. We have one employee, poor Mr. LePage, one employee, and we're elected officials to provide, oversight, transparency, and be the voice of the people here. And that is a very big job, bigger than I think I'll even understand at the end of my 4-year term. So I want to say thank you to all of you who have been serving for so long. Also, because this isn't an easy job. And I think during some of the, so the folks, we don't have anyone, we didn't have a lot of turnout tonight, but I know a lot of people, I found out recently, a lot of people do turn in and watch these YouTube streams, so thank you for doing that to everyone out there. I just want to let folks know that you might not hear or see everything, because that's why you elected us, and that's why the folks up here are here to do this job. But everyone sitting up here has worked really hard to figure out how to proceed together in the best interest of this school system. And to me, that tells me everything I need to know about a team or about my leadership. I was really excited to move forward in unity in, reigniting Mr. LePage's contract and getting him back into the school year, and for him to come back with a running start and, kicking off positivity. And I think you said in your report that everyone is stepping up. As someone who had a child go through the system, went through the system, who has family sitting in this school, that will always be my requirement. We don't have to always agree on how we get there. That's my expectation, and that's the people who elected me's expectation. So I just want to say thank you to everyone up here, and I look forward to this year with a little more insight and those roles and responsibilities. A lot of people are, have been here for a long time, and people are interested in serving. And I think that this would be a place where turnover is a positive thing. So if anyone out there is looking to run for the Board of Education, everyone up here is kind and welcoming and would love to be there for you to help you know what we do. So thanks to everyone. Appreciate you, and can't wait for what's to come.
I just have a comment there. Poor Mr. LePage has 8 women to deal with, and then he has to go home to his wife, so we do pray for you.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's great practice. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I don't think Steve wants to hear anymore.
Yeah, he was like, we're done. Okay, well, if no one has anything else for the board open forum, we'll move on to the quarterly special education cost report, which I'm showing there is no report, and the next one will be held in October. And then we have the turf committee report.
Yep.
Yeah, you have something? Okay.
Yeah, so there's a turf committee report in your packet. It's actually 2 pages. The back page is our latest report on the condition of the field. When the turf fields were put in about 8 years ago, a fund was started. And I think that was because the board at the time recognized that the turf wasn't going to last forever. The initial estimate of the useful life of the turf is 10 years. And so we're 8 years into it. And I'm pleased to say that the report that's in your packet says our turf is in excellent condition. So we expect it to last at least, for a number of years to come. The balance in the turf fund that you started with $10,000 8 years ago is now $179,000. There's a few different sources for that. A lot of that comes from realized savings that this board commits at the end of each year. You committed $50,000 realized savings at the end of last year, and so that's reflected in the fund. The partners organizations also contribute into the fund. Each of the partner organizations, the players contribute, or the organizations contribute $10 per player for each of the organizations that use the field, as well as there haven't been rentals over the past few years because of COVID, but there are rentals of the field as well, and that goes into this fund. The expenses out of the fund in the past have been a few different projects, but really that's not the intent of this fund. The intent of the fund is to get ahead of the field replacement, and that's what you've been doing. Really the only expenses that come out of this fund now are an annual checkup on the condition of the field. And so $179,000 in the fund, the estimated replacement value, or the estimated replacement cost of the fields is roughly $700,000 for the two fields. And we've started reflecting that on our capital plan, just so folks are aware that somewhere down the road, those fields will need to be replaced, and you have a good start on replacing them. Questions? That's my report. Thank you.
The request approval of collective bargaining agreement. We have the AFS-CME Local 1303-023 Council for the custodians and maintainers. And I just need to know if I have a motion to approve the 3-year collective bargaining agreement for that AFS-CME Local 1303-023 of Council for the period of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2025, as presented through the red line agreement.
I make a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement for the custodians and maintainers as mentioned.
Second the motion.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Moving to the consent agenda, is there any need for discussion on the items of the consent agenda? If so, we'll need a motion. If so, we'll need a motion to take that item off the consent agenda for discussion. If there is no discussion, can I get a motion to approve the entire consent agenda as presented, A through G?
Madam Chairman, I request the approval of tonight's consent agenda, noting that there is no HR report, and there were also no donations during the month.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. And then do I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Oh, yeah, do I have a second? All in favor?
The gavel's been struck.
Yeah.